completely forgot about my dreams about fitness at that age already because
you were so focused.
Yeah. But I was also having really bad grades in school.
Oh.
Yeah. The end of senior year, I had like a 1.9 GPA. And 1.9 GPA, you can't participate in sports.
That is true. It's minimum of 2.0 or 2.5?
2.0. Or, yeah, I think it was at least probably higher, yeah?
I think higher.
Yeah, I think for my time, it was 2.0 maybe, or maybe 2.2 or something like that.
Something like that, around there.
I was 1.9 or 1.8. And so I remember having this talk, and I was like, fuck, like, I really want to compete judo and freaking, but I'm worried I'm not going to even graduate, right? It's my senior year. So I was like, shit, like, I can't afford to. My mom and dad said, we don't care, we're not like a typical parents. You don't have to be an attorney, you don't have to be a doctor, because there was a lot of pressure in my family friends in the immigrant space.
Yes.
Japanese, Korean, stuff like that, where our parents would say like, oh, you're gonna become doctor,
lawyer, nurse,
yeah, something like that. Which I understand because it is a really good job and it's also, pretty secure. But my parents just said, you do what makes you happy, but please just graduate high school.
Yep.
We don't even care if you go to college or not. Just please graduate high school. And so, and then I was like, all right, the last 3 months of high school, just finish, just barely graduate. And then now in college, I go to community college, KCC. That's where I start working out with Andrew. We're roommates. And we go to the YMCA. It's the YMCA by Ala Moana, Atherton.
Oh, okay.
Me and him would catch not the Maui bus, but the Oahu City bus. And it drops us off right at the edge of Ala Moana, and we just walk over to Atherton YMCA to go lift, because we were like bros at the time, right? Get jacked. We're into bodybuilding. That's what we were into. And I saw a sign on the sign. I still remember. It said, either said looking or hiring personal trainers. And then this bald Japanese guy was there. Me and Andrew were walking in, and I'm like, oh, look, personal trainer. This was my, one of my goals, and I'm looking at it, and no joke, it pissed me and Andrew off because he said, you'll never be a trainer. And then Andrew was like, how would you say that? Like, and then I was more like silent. I was just like, he's talking to me, like, what?
Oh, the guy at the gym.
Yeah, the bald Japanese guy. And I'm Japanese, but like I looked at him, I was like, wow, is he talking to me?
Yeah.
And Andrew was just like, let's just go. And come to find out, he's a freaking manager or like head personal trainer there. Wow. And I was like, don't even try to talk to me, give a chance. Just like, it's not for you kind of thing. And Andrew was just like, all right, let's just go lift weights. And then I had a chip on my shoulder that time because I was like, bro, freak that guy. Like when you're offended, you're like 18,
you want to prove
19,
him wrong.
Yeah. And then obviously, and then you move into like proving the people that believe in you right, which I think is more important than proving some random guy wrong. But at the time, you use whatever motivation, right? That was my motivation. I was like, I'm gonna prove this guy wrong, frick this guy. And I remember I was like, okay, at first I gotta get into like decent shape because the practice preach thing. I was like, all right, let me get into decent shape and get to like a legitimate like, 2-plate bench, 3-plate squat, the usuals for bros. Bros, huh? And then and then I dropped out of college, and then I went to trade school in Florida.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's the Orlando school. That's the NPTI, the National Personal Training Institute.
Oh.
Yeah. So I took a crash course, and I went the fully commit route because you can do it over 2 years, or you can do it full time. You live there, breathe there, and you do it in 6 months.
Wow.
And I was like,
that saves you so much time.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go that route. It's gonna be a lot of work, a lot of stress. You're literally like doing, and I enjoyed it because it's a trade school. You're doing half hands-on every day.
Oh.
Yeah. So like 4 hours of hands-on, like training, correcting form,
That's
working
good.
with cancer patients, pregnant ladies, seniors, injuries, all kind of stuff. And then the other 4 is like, normal. But I felt like I learned really well that way than if I just stayed in university and read this textbook about exercise science. I'm like, okay.
It's harder. Some people learn it like better.
Some people are better, right?
Yeah.
But it worked out because I know I would have a hard time if a professor just said, "Hey, I want you to work on your unilateral step or the contralateral shoulder press while isometric." I'd be like, "Bro, what are you talking about?"
My brain would have been
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
whoa.
right?
Yeah.
And I was like, nobody talks like that in fitness.
Oh yeah.
And so anyway, so I'm very grateful. Shout out to not professor, my instructor Chris Williams, and NPTI Orlando. Shout out to them because that was 10 years ago, and they gave me the tools, knowledge, and confidence that we can do it here or anywhere. That's another interesting story too. Basically, one of the tests was you could only fill up a backpack full of equipment, and you have to train clients with that.
Wow.
With one backpack. I was like, all right, teach you to be resourceful because if you don't have equipment, and I remember picking like a kettlebell or two, a speed ladder, cones in the bag, and that was it. But I felt super confident I could make workouts and help people that would come. And that's kind of our origin story, actually. Yeah. That was pretty winded, going from asthma to all kind of different, situations to the martial arts, to where we are. But that was 10 years ago. And then I started training. Oh, yeah. And then in between there, I was working at Genki Sushi.
Oh, I remember you mentioned that.
Genki Sushi. And I honestly had good bosses. At the time was Sandy. My direct bosses were like Tracy, Archie, Zelly, Chloe, all great, and they would always try to help me out, make sure schedule all that good stuff. 18 years old, 19 years old, and I really owe them a lot too because you would share tips, and I'm like, ooh, this is great. Like let's just store this, and then I pretty much went broke for the school. And then I came home, and then I remember had $59, and I was like, all right, I got $59. What do I do? But thankfully, I remember what we got taught. So I went to Sports Authority, bought a kettlebell or oh no, was it a kettlebell or a speed ladder? One or the other, or both. And then I just picked up some cones or something from Craigslist, and that was it. And then that was the picture like at the War Memorial or like the ones at my backyard, Parkside. That was it with that like $60 worth of equipment. And then I would leave a little tip jar or ask people for tips. I was like, hey, can you just tip whatever you think it's worth? Because until you get some sort of money, it's just for fun.
Yeah, that's true.
And then people started paying me $10 a class. I was like, oh, okay, $10 an hour. I'll take it.
That's true.
$10 an hour. That's just as much as being a waiter. I'll take that. And once I got that, just training after training after training, and I was still working out at this gym over here. It's no longer there, but it used to be called 808 Fitness, 101 Fitness, something like that. The old Gold's Gym on Kolu Street. And Mr. Van Walkie, oh man, I used to call him Uncle Walkie, but dude, I have so much respect for him because he would tell me, what do you want to do with the fitness? We have a bunch of trainers on the island, and I like it because he keeps it real.
Yep.
He would say, got a lot of trainers on the island. What makes you stand out? And then me, not knowing any type of marketing and sales, I would say, well, I'm different. But it's like, how are you different, right? And he was asking me because if I don't know, then I'd get, humbled by the marketplace anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would tell me, do you read books? Do you do this? Do you study anything? And I was like, not really. He's like, you got to learn sales. You got to learn how to sell. Like, selling?
Yeah.
I went to trade school, me being stupid.
Yeah.
I went to trade school and got an education. So I don't have to sell. Because I guess the social perception of selling is like somehow below, like a doctor or lawyer, whatever. So I was like, I don't believe it. 18, 19, like, you gotta sell. Like, I don't want to sell. I want to just train people. But I was like, if you don't sell anybody, how are you gonna train them?
Yeah. Or how are you gonna train more people?
Yeah, because selling is basically, influencing them to say, okay, yeah, I'll train with you. Right. Anyway, and then that started partially the business side. When he would tell me that, because he was the first guy on island to tell me, you got to learn sales. You got to read some books. You gotta watch some YouTube videos. You got to do some courses or something. You got to do something. So that's why I'm very grateful. Yeah, and then he would help me with powerlifting and different stuff too. But so that was kind of the origin, and then also Capelle was another huge inspiration. At that time too. Lots of people to be grateful for.
Oh yeah.
Lots of coaches, mentors, formal, informal, instructors, teachers, professors.